we're still sitting in the glow. Phones charged, lights on, pretending we don't know. But the forest is silent, the river's running low, and the flame on our plates is the strongest fire we throw. Put out the fire, put out the fire. Echoes and rise, this is your hour. 7 boundaries broken, the earth pushed past the line. Climate, land, species, fresh water, chemicals, nutrients, oceans in decline. Not danger, disaster in real time. Put out the fire, ooh, put out the fire. Metaphorians rise, this is your power. And here in India, one truth stands the same. Milk is not just milk, dairy feeds the flame. Cows and methane, fields and forests turn to grain. Politics, culture, carbon, all wired to the same chain. Every cup of curd is heat in the air, every block of butter is a forest repair. It's not a small habit, it's a planetary affair. Put out the fire, put out the fire. Echoes and rise, this is our hour. Energy fixes half the hurt, Dr. Rao made that clear. But food fixes the other half, the half that's burning here. Change the plate, change the land, change the future's atmosphere. Put out the fire, put out the fire. Metaphorians unite, this is your choir. Every millet, every fruit, every sapseed, every bean is water on the wildfire of a world we've never seen. Every oil-free bite is a river turning clean. This is not perfection, it's direction. Not pressure, but protection. A week of choices can cool a generation. A company's courage can ignite a nation. Put out the fire, ooh, put out the fire. Echoes and rise, this is your hour. Metaphorians unite, Metaphorians ignite, sharing love in the metazone, light in the path to a cooler home. Put out the fire, ooh, put out the fire. Together we rise, together we inspire.
Welcome to the Planet B podcast, where truth, transformation, and faith converge. Join us as we flip the script on ecological despair, guided by Dr. Sailesh Rao's vision for a compassionate, rewilded vegan world. Let's begin the journey to the greatest transformation in human history.
Greetings, everyone, and welcome to episode 28 of the Planet B podcast. And today we discuss the civilizational transformation. Dr. Rao, I think we are all very ready for this civilization transformation.
Yeah, civilization transformation is about changing everything we do altogether. It's sort of like a summary of what we need to do. Doesn't quite go into how we do it, but there are some indicators on how we can go about doing it. It really comes down to people wanting to be sincere about doing it. initially.
Wonderful.
So I started off with Victor Hugo's quote, "There is nothing as powerful as an idea whose time has come."
Mm,
And knowing all the myths in the system and knowing how completely unsustainable it is, which is what the planetary boundary transgressions are telling us, we have the perfect opportunity to redesign everything based on axioms as opposed to myths. Because the difference between the two is that myths are things that we were sort of told is true. It's in the ether as if it's true, but in reality it's not true.
right.
So it's falsehoods that they were put into our minds, okay, unconsciously. Axioms are truths that we hold consciously. They are testable. You can check that they're true or not. And if they're not true, change them.
Mm,
So you're consciously adopting certain principles, and then you're building everything based on those principles. And that's how you create the civilizational transformation. It's literally dropping the old programming. It's the old operating system, so to speak,
yeah.
and then building something new on the correct axioms, which are verifiable. Okay, so that's why you do with the axioms. You should be able to verify them that they are true.
Right. And right at the beginning of chapter 28, you state, the path forward to a bright future is narrow and hard, but our best chance for achieving it is when everyone feels like they belong in nature and on the same team called Homo Ahimsa.
Correct. We all have to be together to get it done. It's
Yeah,
not something that can happen if we are constantly fighting with each other. I mean, we have to agree that our goal is to create a living environment, a civilization that's in alignment with nature, that can sustain itself going forward. So it's an opportunity to redesign everything based on what we know now to be true. And I also see every human being who adopts these axioms and starts changing their choices, their decisions to be in alignment with the axioms. Every such human being becomes a developer of this new civilization. So whereas in planet A, you're just a consumer, you're just a passive recipient
right.
of what has already been designed for you. So it's a code, looks like an operating system that was already designed and you just were born into it, right? And now we are given the opportunity to redesign it based on axioms. So then every one of us becomes a programmer of this
Yeah,
new civilization. So because every one of us, when we make our transformation individually, we are causing the system also to respond.
mm,
And so then, people are going to say, well, why don't we make this normal? Right? So when you want to make this normal, then you have to figure out how to do that. And then you'll get into the 7 strategic actions that we need to do to change the civilization.
wonderful. Yeah. In the beginning of this chapter 28, you call our current mission to transition to Planet B a global infrastructure upgrade project.
Yeah, it's an infrastructure and software upgrade project. It's both, right?
Yeah,
Infrastructure meaning human infrastructure. The planet is fine. The planet's living support systems is the original hardware that we are working with, right? And we as humans build something on top of that. And that is now misaligned with the life support systems of the planet. And so now the human additions that we did, we have to upgrade that. Yeah, that's the infrastructure
right.
upgrade that we need to do. And then we have to upgrade our software, how we relate to each other, how we relate to animals, how we relate to life. And that's based on the codes for a healthy earth, based on the axioms,
Right.
right?
So let's go through those one by one. So the first infrastructure upgrade you talk about is that we need to begin with sustainability built into the education curriculum.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. The first of the 7 strategic actions is education, education, education. Sustainability cannot be just a separate department. That
Right.
tells you that everything else is unsustainable, what they're teaching you,
So
right?
true.
I mean, I'm talking to this chemical engineering institute here in Mumbai, and they're the ones who came up with all these hundreds of thousands of chemicals that the Earth has never seen before. And the assumption when we started doing that is that the Earth is so big, you couldn't possibly impact it. And now we know that we are impacting it and we are causing a lot of issues. Right? So, how do you now change the curriculum? Basically, you have to go back to every function that was solved or implemented with these novel entities, these novel chemicals, and then figure out how are you going to do that. First of all, is it necessary to do that, right? And secondly, if it's necessary to do that, how would you do that in a way that does not introduce something novel into the environment? Okay, something that Earth knows what to do with, that becomes part of the soil again. So something more organic. So it's really a complete redesign of our infrastructure. Right?
Talking a little bit more about the education, how do you view education would change as we transition into Planet B? So you mentioned some going into the engineering schools and helping them understand more of that, the systems infrastructure. And what are some other ways you would see education change?
I would say the purpose of education will change to you're educating people not to become laborers in an industrial machine, which is what we are educating today. We still have the same industrial education system. But you're educating people to understand the life support systems of the planet. And then they can figure out then how they want to contribute towards helping it and maintaining it and so on. By the time you get through high school, you need to understand every aspect of the life support systems of the planet.
Yeah.
That's the way I envision future education to be. Because that's basic stuff you need to know. Then you can specialize, how are we doing the infrastructure for humanity in a way that is least harmful to the planet? Right? How do we repair things as opposed to innovate on making newer and newer things?
Right.
How do we repair what we already have? Those are all the skills that we would have to teach.
How would education foster a sense of purpose in people? It's something we've talked about before, is find my why.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I'm convinced that everyone who's here at this time has a gift that nature needs, that they can offer to help nature. And so knowing that, it's how do you help people find their gift, sing their song, so to speak. So I see the education system of the future on Planet B to be much more self-directed. So kids figure out what they want to do, as opposed to sending them to this exact same, assembly line,
Right.
where you're supposed to graduate according to your age. Some kids are slow, some kids are fast at learning these things. And some kids are good at learning art as opposed to math, So why are we forcing everybody to study these things, right? If you let it be more organic, then kids find their own way, what it is that interests them. And they're joyful doing it. I know that's what they did at Sadhana Forest for their two kids, the founders' two kids. So both the children basically didn't, they were playing in nature for the first 7-8 years of their lives. And then suddenly they got interested in learning how to read and so on, and they picked it up very, very quickly.
So once we kind of allow children to discover things at their own pace, actually, they may learn faster, they may learn more, and they
Absolutely.
will definitely excel more into something that excites them.
Absolutely, yeah. It's not that someone else is telling them, you have to graduate, you have to go study this, you have to do that. No, they're self-motivated, they pick it up much, much faster than you drilling it into them.
When you say that, I just think of tests. All of us, we dreaded tests in high school, in college. I mean, that doesn't seem like that's part of this new way.
Well, I did a course with T. Colin Campbell foundation on plant-based nutrition. And I loved the way they structured it. It was basically all self-directed, and there was a tutor who you could ask questions and they would help you if you have any problems. But the way they structured it is that you don't proceed until you understood that portion. Right? So the testing was to make sure that you got 100%.
Right.
So if you answered a question wrong, they would say, here, go learn this section again and come back. And then, take another test until you got 100%, which means everybody passed only when they knew.
That's wonderful.
Then there is the only pressure is you figure out how you're going to understand the subject, right? That's it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So there's no comparison between people anymore. Everybody who went through it, got 100%.
That makes total sense. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and I love that kind of pedagogy.
That's wonderful. So that goes into we discussed kind of the first strategic action with education. Now the second strategic action is the self-transformation.
Right. All these actions go together. It's like the 7 dimensions of the transformation, right?
Yeah.
So the second one is you have to basically heal yourself. You have to put on your own oxygen mask first before you help others. And as a species, we have to heal our species before we heal the earth. You help people put on their own oxygen mask before you go help others, right? Help other animals and so on. So this is why self-transformation is so important. And this is why I urge the vegan community to eat healthy, to exercise, to do all the self-transformation that we talked about earlier, and become, convinced that you're part of this Planet B movement, that you are now going to become the thermostat species of the planet. So you have a purpose in life. Become vitally engaged guardians of animals and nature. So that self-transformation, that's the foundation on which all the others rest.
Right. And we talked about this a little bit throughout this podcast series, but when people are eating that healthy food, they're exercising, they're feeling good, it's like a magnet that people who maybe aren't vegan yet, they're so interested in this way of life, and it brings people in just by the vibration that they're giving off.
Correct. Yeah. The aura that surrounds you when you do things right. Because healthy always, people can tell that you're healthy.
Yeah.
Right.
It's so true. Yeah. Yeah, wonderful. So the third strategic action is the goals transformation.
Yeah. Because the system is defined by what are its goals. If the goal is to make money, in the old model, grow the economy, you're going to get what we're getting today. So the system, no matter what you do, will figure out how to get that same goal. So all changes within the old model will remain surface level changes. It will never address the root causes until you change the goal. The goals instantiate what kind of actions are going to be taken within that system. So it's very important to have valid goals. So in the new book that I'm writing now, I'm expanding on the paper that we talked about goal validity tests. How do you test whether a goal is valid or not? It needs to be aligned with the axioms, first and foremost, right?
Right.
So there has to be so we have an ethical test, a coherence test, a measurability test, and so on. So this way you have a formal way of verifying whether a goal is valid or not. And I show in using that goal number 8 is invalid. Economic growth is invalid.
Right.
Whereas goal number 18 is absolutely valid.
Yeah.
Okay. It's a formal way of showing how do you transform systems. Starting with axioms. So it's an axiomatic approach. I loved when I was a kid, I loved Euclidean geometry. Because Euclid just used a few axioms and he derived the entire geometry using those axioms.
Does this go back to your four foundational truths as well?
Correct, yeah. The four foundational truths were based on debunking the protein myth, debunking the calcium myth, and saying that human well-being comes from a sense of purpose, not economic growth. Okay?
Right.
And finally, that animal agriculture is the leading cause of ecological destruction on the planet.
Yeah.
And so those four are the truths that we established, saying, that I don't want to live in the mythical world anymore. Yeah. But the goals are like the SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals. What are we trying to achieve? The thriving of life above water, the life in water, the thriving of life in the air, and restoring biodiversity. These are all goals that we have. But anytime you articulate a goal, you have to check, is that goal valid? Because if it's an impossible goal, let's say economic growth, it's an impossible goal because you are living on a finite planet. You cannot have infinite economic growth on a finite planet. You cannot have
Right.
growth beyond the planetary boundaries, right? So once you know it's an impossible goal, you need to drop it. If you don't drop it, then your system is going to take you in the wrong direction.
Mm.
Okay? So it's just simple, basic systems engineering is what I'm
Right.
getting with that. So that's what the goals transformation is about. Identifying goals that are valid and being ruthless about dropping goals that are invalid. Because
Mm.
otherwise you'll never be sustainable.
Right. Right. Awesome. So let's go into the fourth of the seven strategic actions, which is the socio-political transformation. That's a big one.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah, I know. How do we govern ourselves? How do we relate
Uh,
to each other? How to be community oriented as opposed to individualistic? How to collaborate and not compete? How to have a subsidiary type of decision making process where you make sure that its decisions are made at the lowest level possible,
mm.
right? And no more wars, right? I'm saying the wars are all part of the old model. It's all about,
Yeah.
I'm stronger and therefore I can do what I want. And then the other side says, well, are you sure you're stronger? Let's find out. That's what it's about.
Mm.
We have to figure out different ways of resolving differences as opposed to shows of strength.
Do you have like an example what socio-political system would look like on planet B?
Participatory governance. So there is, much more of deference given to indigenous wisdom.
Mm.
Okay. Why do we do that? Because indigenous means you have been there for a long time,
Yeah, exactly.
which means you understand that local conditions better than anyone else.
Right.
So how can you impose something from somewhere else and say, I know better, and you're going to do it this way,
Mm.
right? So centering more of the indigenous wisdom in decision-making processes. And that's why the subsidiarity approach, which is having decisions made at the lowest level possible, is the best.
Right.
Okay. Sometimes you have to take it to higher levels and figure out how to make decisions. And there again, I would say it has to be consensus based, and it cannot be that we lose sight of the objective. So
Right.
everything is done towards that overall objective, the overall goals
Mm-hmm.
of stabilizing the life support systems of the planet and maintaining them and staying within the bounds. Our decision-making processes have to be measured against that. Are we accomplishing our objective? And if you find that you're not accomplishing your objective, we have to figure out what's wrong with the process and fix it. I mean, there are a lot of details that are missing in this. I basically said it's going to go from exclusivity to radical inclusion, from domination and control relating to partnership and respect relating. But you have to code it, in processes that are put in place. rather than just talking about what the end result will look like.
Do you think that this type of engineering would actually be very important in the political system, where if you're realizing you're moving in the wrong direction to move it in the right direction?
Yeah, well, one of the things that engineers bring is that we have to train ourselves to be in alignment with nature. Okay. So if you give us the right objectives, we can tell you how to get there.
Hmm.
I'm not saying that, we know everything. We know how to get it all done right. But we know the process. When you see that you're not in alignment with nature, how do you debug it? How do you find the bug and then how do you fix that? So you have to have a process in place to ensure that it doesn't lead to acrimony, because the project has to get done eventually.
Right.
So we have, we call them bugs in the design. And then we have processes for addressing bugs.
Yeah. Wonderful. So let's go into number 5 of the 7 strategic actions. This is another big one, the economic transformation.
Correct. Yeah. On planet A, the economy is paramount. To drive the economy, to grow the economy, we're willing to sacrifice everything. Yeah, we're willing to sacrifice the ecology, we're willing to sacrifice species. All kinds of sacrifices have been done already. And to me, that's desecrating life. On planet B, I'm saying the economy is a subsidiary of the ecology. It doesn't rule over the ecology.
Right. Yeah.
The economy is there to meet human needs, not to stoke human desires and meet and basically manufacture the wants, turn the wants into manufactured needs, and then meet them,
Yeah.
which is how you keep growing something, right? So instead, it has to be the economy is there to meet the needs. If that involves having to, innovate, we'll figure this out. You have to go innovate. Okay. If you don't know how to do something that's essential, we will innovate.
Mm.
And it doesn't have to be that you'll innovate only when you're constantly trying to grow the economy.
Right.
Yeah. So that's a false motivation for innovation.
Yeah. Yeah. And we'll get into more of this definitely in the next chapter, which is the money game transformation. So
Correct.
the
Yeah.
next of the 7 strategic actions is the ecological transformation.
Yeah. You begin by recognizing that all life is sacred. So the radical sacredness, and that our role is to restore the ecosystems and maintain them,
Yeah.
as opposed to extract from the ecosystems, as opposed to seeing everything as resources. So it's not commodification anymore. It's about radical sacredness. So it reverses the whole process, right? Because the economy, humans are now here to serve the animals, not the other way around.
Yeah.
So that's the ecological transformation that I'm talking about that needs to happen.
A big part of Climate Healers is this rewilding initiative. So that would be a big aspect probably of this ecological transformation, is becoming the thermostat species as we are intended to be, and then helping bring back nature through these rewilding efforts.
Right. Yeah. It's rewilding on the outside. And then the next step I talk about, number 7, is rewilding your insides.
Mm.
That's the spiritual transformation,
Yeah.
is to return home to who we really are. It's like we are rounding the bases, right? If you use a baseball metaphor, we're
Yeah.
rounding the bases. When you go vegan, you've only gotten to first base. So don't think you've gone home yet. And it's an infinite journey home.
Mm.
So getting to second base, third base, fourth base, it gets slower and slower as you're running towards home,
It's true.
right?
Yeah.
But everyone is on this journey of rounding the bases, and you have to basically help people if they fall, help them get up and continue the race, because every one of us is on this now. So the further we all get, the healthier the planet becomes.
Mm.
So I see the planet's health, planetary health, is like a barometer of total human health.
Mm.
So, so it's the outside is reflected based on our insides.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Why is veganism, do you feel like, so key as part of this spiritual transformation?
Veganism it's the moral baseline because it starts by saying animals are not objects. Veganism is a stance of non-exploitation. It doesn't even say we have to serve them, right? It's a basic stance of non-exploitation. To me, it's saying coming to a neutral place before you can go the other way, which is to serve them.
Right.
If you are constantly using them and exploiting them, how are you serving them? They're serving
Yeah.
you. Yeah, they're being served to you on a platter.
Yeah.
So that's why I see veganism as the foundation. And it's possible now to be vegan everywhere in the world. Even
Right.
Greenland has supermarkets. I noticed from the videos, right? So those supermarkets are getting goods from outside.
Yeah.
Yeah. So our transportation technologies have enabled everyone, if they want to go vegan. It's not necessary to eat animals anymore or to use animals anymore for every aspect of our lives, not just food. Once upon a time, you had to use animals because we moved out of Africa, went to every part of the world, and then we said, oh, I cannot be naked anymore. I have to wear something. It's too cold, right?
Yeah.
And that started this whole exploitation process. So now we don't have to do that anymore. That's the point of veganism. And
Wonderful.
when you do that, then you can restore the planet. Okay. And we can ask questions like, do you really need to stay in those harsh locations anymore?
Mm.
You know, if you say, I cannot do this without eating animals, so do you have to stay there? That's the question you need to ask.
Is there a final message or some words you'd like to share, Dr. Rao, as we close out this episode?
It may look daunting, but I assure you that every aspect of this, every one of the 7 steps are already being worked on. It's for all of us to undergo all 7 of these steps together.
Yeah, that's the greatest transformation in human history. I love going back to that.
Thank you.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Rao, and thank you to our audience today. Next up is another big topic with chapter 29, which is the money game transformation. So we hope everyone stays with us for our next episode. Thank you for joining us. Planet B signing out. Bye.
That's a lot to cover in 30 minutes. Go ahead, Jenny.
Hello. So I was hoping that you could maybe comment on the certification class that was on the screen. And I kind of wanted to know, well, like, one, was this the certification class that you had taken? I think you had mentioned it in like a day or two ago, maybe. And then oh, go ahead.
Sorry, are you talking about the T. Colin Campbell certification
Yes.
class?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the, what does he call it? Certificate in plant-based nutrition. Hold on a second. It's Center for Nutrition Studies.
Um,
I can
I
find the link and put it for you.
Yeah. I kind of wanted to know, like, if you had taken it or if anyone else had taken it. Like, I wanted to know if one of the chapters would be like, hey, here are all these plant-based foods. Like, maybe like a chart that was like, if you have like if you have a tomato, then you could boost the nutrition if you ate it with a, name three other pieces of food. Kind of like
Mhm.
something that was like you could I could then not like a recipe per se, but like mix and match that says like, hey, if you have broccoli, it would be best for you to eat it with like, and then name other things. I don't know if
Mhm.
something like that exists, but I was just kind of curious, like about the course, and then if you think that would be talked about in the course.
I don't recall it being like that. It was
Okay.
more about uh, why plant-based nutrition is best. So I
Oh,
put the
okay.
link in the chat,
Oh,
and
okay.
and it goes through why what they found out about animal-based nutrition. And when you eat
Ah,
animal foods, what
okay.
happens to you? Yeah, what
Oh,
happens
got
to you?
it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and it's quite extensive, the kind of research that he has done. So
Mm.
it's kind of, you cannot argue against it. It's it's amazing. Uh, but it's something like what you are talking about. I mean, I'm sure we can create an AI bot for that.
Oh, yeah,
So
I see. Yeah, because I was wondering if it was more of like yeah, I guess I'm thinking in my mind it's more of like an execution tool, like, versus like trying to convince you. It's more of like, okay, now how do I like do this in the
right,
kitchen?
right,
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I was just curious. Thank you.
Yeah, I know my niece was working on some app that would also tell you, given what you have in your fridge, what can you make with it?
Yeah. Yeah.
So it knows what you have in your fridge and what you have in your closet, and it says, okay, you can make this dish.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Right. Right.
Yeah,
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I'm sure it could. Yeah. Yeah. Really good idea. Okay. Thank
it
you.
it can make up recipes also because it
Yeah.
knows
Right. Right.
you can substitute one for the other, and
Yeah.
it knows how to do all that.
Mm.
BJ.
I was just letting you know I did take that course. It was
Hmm.
several years ago, and
Hmm.
I loved it. And then I'm always happy I'm certified because it just makes you feel good, but at the same time, you can't remember everything,
Right,
and you
right.
can't know everything that people will ask. But yeah, it was great. I remember it started out though. When you first start out, it's the very first chapter is paradigms.
Hmm.
And that was very philosophical. And I was like, oh, I don't know about this. That just wasn't my cup of tea. But then it just got, for me, it got better and better and better. And they had lots of different speakers. And it was remarkable to see T. Colin Campbell himself talking, because he's up there in years, and yet here he is, he's lecturing and
Yeah.
doing all these things, and that's another tribute to the health of it. I will say that you probably still can get the course for free if you can't afford the tuition for it. They have ways that you can get it for free, and I also think that it would be harder for people that have not been vegan for a while, because it was challenging to get through, the 100%. I had to explain myself a couple of times.
Right,
And I
right.
thought if somebody had never had any background in it, it would be a very challenging course. But
Right.
yeah, totally worth taking. Yes.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you.
Mhm.
I mean, I love the paradigm setting, he starts off with paradigms because for me, it's like engineering. Yeah. Danny?
Thank you. This is from Michael. Regarding chemicals, the problem is the patent system. It incentivizes people and companies to toy with nature with exclusive rights to their unnatural inventions, each with health and environmental risks that come along with them. Any ideas that could be implemented to address that reality?
Yeah, well, one way in the current system, if you want to do it in the current system, is to say, if you patent something, you're also liable for all the all the harm that happens. Not only are you know, I mean, right now you only get the rewards for what you invented, but you don't get the harm, right? You don't get to, you're not responsible for the harm. So if you say that, then people are going to be very careful with what they patent. Right? Uh, and Planet B, I'm saying it's all open source. There is no patent. There's no going around saying I invented this. No, you didn't invent it. You stood on the shoulders of millions of people.
Okay,
Right?
thank you.
So it's philosophically we have to address it that way.
Thank you.
Everything is open source.
Okay.
Sai?
Hi, Dr. Rao. I was just wondering that regarding the planetary boundaries transgressions, when was the year when we crossed the first boundary? Like how many
Well,
years back?
2009 is when they proposed
Right.
this planetary boundary framework. They proposed it, and at that time they said we have already crossed 3 of them.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow. Okay.
Biodiversity loss, climate change, and nitrogen phosphorus loading. So those 3 we had crossed in 2009.
Okay.
Now, some of the others they hadn't figured out how to check. So they're working on the process for how do you check if you crossed them or not. And then by 2015, they said we have crossed 4 of them. I think the 4th was land use change. And by 2023, they said we have crossed 6 of them. And the next 2 that came along was freshwater change and chemical pollution, novel entities. So novel entities, they had it as a gray box, until then, meaning they didn't know. They didn't know whether we have crossed or not in 2009 and 2015. It may have been already crossed by then. But it was officially declared as transgressed in 2023 for the first time. And then in 2025, they said that we've crossed the 7th one, which is ocean acidification.
Right.
And then they estimated that both novel entities and biosphere integrity are in the purple zone. So they introduced a new color saying it is at high risk of destabilizing the life support systems of the planet. So that was announced only last year.
I'm just my question was like when we know from last 17 years that we crossed 3 planetary boundaries, what happened all these years? Why didn't anyone take note of this? Like whether the media or the government or any other organizations, what really happened? That's one question. And I'm also, as you said that, I'm wondering like a layman. I mean, a person who doesn't care in general. I'm saying like they might say, "Oh, we crossed the 3 boundaries in 2009, and it's been 17 years, nothing happened. So what's the big deal?" I mean, a
Right.
layman could say this, right? Who doesn't know anything. So how would you
Right.
address that?
Yeah, it's like saying, hey, my doctor diagnosed me with diabetes and heart disease and cancer, last year, and I'm still alive. So what's the problem? And you're not taking any medication for it. You're not going to the hospital. You're not going to the doctor anymore. It's like you're not doing
Yeah,
anything about it, right? Would you do
yeah.
that to your body?
Then how would you do that to the planet?
Right. And you can say, I'm still alive. So, I should be fine. No, you don't know when you're going to
Mm,
die, right? Especially when they say
right.
that 2 of them are at high risk. That's like saying, I am shocked that you're still alive. A doctor coming and telling you,
Oh
you,
yeah.
your heart disease is so bad and your cancer is so bad that I am shocked that you're still alive. Which, by the way, what they told my mom, when they examined her, they diagnosed her with a heart disease. The doctor said, I'm shocked that you're still alive. So my
No,
mom
in
knew
fact,
at that point. Yeah.
sorry to interrupt. In fact, more than shocked, I would say, like you briefly touched upon this in one of the previous conversations. Like you feel grateful. You mentioned that you every day when you wake up with so many things happening, you feel grateful to be alive, to be able to breathe. So I think we should be grateful that after crossing so many boundaries that the planet is still alive.
Right, right, right. Yeah. But that doesn't mean we can keep, we can
Of
be
course.
sanguine about it, right? So this is why I say we have to we have to get on with it as quickly as possible, bringing
Yeah.
them back
But
into the greens. Yeah.
but what happened all these 17 years? I was just trying to understand, like with respect to planetary boundaries, why didn't
Mm.
did it even impact anything? Did it even cause any transformation in at a whole?
Well, they formed the Eat Lancet Commission, to look at, because they knew the other planetary boundary transgressions. It's obvious it's because of animal agriculture. You cannot hide it, right? So they formed the
Yeah.
Eat Lancet Commission to uh, propose recommendations, and they came up with the Eat Lancet diet initially that got a lot of pushback. I think that was in 2021. It got a lot of
Mhm.
pushback from the industry. So now they came up with the planetary health diet. They call it PhD. Okay. And
Is it vegan?
yeah, well, no,
Oh.
they're they're asking for a 50% reduction in animal foods.
Mhm.
Now, the industry doesn't mind if you ask for a 50%, 75%, 80% reduction. They don't care about that, because you are still uh, maintaining the myth that you need to eat that,
Mhm.
okay, for your well-being. So if you're maintaining that myth, people will continue eating it. Okay. I
But it
mean, a few
hampers their
people,
growth, right?
it
If you say
won't.
50% reduction.
No, it won't. Because there are a lot of people who are saying, oh my God, it's necessary to eat. I need some too. Yeah, you can cut down yours, but I haven't even started eating. So give me some. So the
Mm.
overall, it keeps growing. Okay. That's what the industry wants. That's all they care about. Just keep growing. And so to me, it's just a smoke screen for doing something. They're not really doing anything. So I asked the authors of the planetary health diet, how did you
Mhm.
come up with this number, 50%? Because
Mm.
I'm an engineer, systems engineer. I'm looking at the system and I'm saying, I don't know if it's already gone beyond the point of no return. So I would do 100% right away to check, you know. I mean, as much as possible, you have to do it right away. So you have to talk about complete system transformation. And they responded, I mean, their response was, they in their models, when they reduced it by 50%, the planetary boundary transgression stabilized in their models. Now, what does it mean to stabilize? You're maintaining it at a high rate of disrepair. You know, you need to bring it back, not just stabilize. Yeah. It's like
Oh.
saying I have a computer model for your cancer. And in my model, when you cut it by 50%, your meat consumption, your cancer stopped growing in my model. Now, will it really stop growing in your body? Who knows?
Oh, this is like mind-boggling to me. Like, so all these years, like when you say like the analogy, like the planet has a fever and we have to reverse, we have to reduce the fever. But with the planetary boundaries also, they are doing the same thing. They're saying like can stabilize planetary boundaries. You don't
Yeah.
have to get back in the limits.
Yeah.
This is
It's crazy,
insane,
right?
actually.
Yeah,
It's
it's
insane.
insane.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, that's where they are. They're all, because they're funded by the Rockefeller Foundation. These are all big money people who are
How
funding
how
these
can they
things.
even publish this? I mean, who was sitting on the top and reviewing such paper? I mean,
Hmm.
how can they get away with publishing it? And how? I mean, the person who reviewed it is insane. I must say, like whoever reviewed this paper is. I mean, how can they get away with all these things?
Well, when we were doing What the Health, we found like 95% of all the papers, you can just junk them. It's
Oh,
useless. Yeah,
wow.
that's how bad it
Oh,
is, right? In the nutrition and health area. See, as engineers, you and I are engineers. We don't get too much of that BS, when we sift through papers, because our profession, we have to actually get on with it and make things work.
yeah,
Okay.
exactly. We have
Yeah,
to the,
right,
tape out the chip and get the
right,
results, and only then you can publish. You can't
right,
just publish like that. Yeah, yeah,
right.
yeah. There's no way to do it.
Yeah. So
Okay, thanks.
since we have a very resilient human body, and a very resilient planet, we can get away with this kind of stuff. Um, anyway, it'll come around. We are going to sort this out very, very quickly, because it's all tied in. It's connected to everything. So if you say eliminate animal agriculture, you have to eliminate colonialism, you have to eliminate racism, you have to eliminate sexism, you have to eliminate all of that, because they're all tied in. It's the same system.
Okay, I was going to ask actually recently, like you have a deadline for the vegan transformation, like 2026.
Hmm.
But then what is the deadline for the economic transformation for all these other things you said, colonialism and all the other stuff?
Yeah.
We have to put a deadline for that also, right? So otherwise it would feel so overwhelming to for all the transformations to happen in a year, right? Clearly. So it would
It's like
seem
turning over something. Okay. So you're saying, okay, we have to turn over the arm, you have to turn over the leg, you have to turn over everything. It's right. You're turning over someone from lying on his stomach to lying on his back. Right. So you have to turn over everything, and it's really reversing everything. It's reversing everything. And yeah, so as you do this, this is why I'm pointing out that it's a process that every one of us, as we implement Planet B protocols in our lives, okay, we are becoming developers of Planet B. Okay? And
mm,
and over time, we will be creating this new operating system collaboratively.
no, that's very thought-provoking. I hope your Planet B handbook
Yeah, yeah,
goes
it
deep
has
into
all
all
that.
this
Yeah, it goes into all that.
practical approach. Yeah,
Right. Yeah. Right.
that's what I'm hoping. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. It's got a lot of stuff in it. So we'll see.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Lord. Thanks, Lord.
But
Yeah, well, while you were talking, what I just kept picturing in my head was if I mean, they're going to keep trying to plug the meat, as long as they possibly can. But when we finally um, get so many people on board with eating vegan, I feel like I can see them all just making switches and wanting people to invest in vegan type things, and they still they would want to keep their old system. And I kept thinking, they'd be buying up farmlands in order to plant stuff for us, and then they'd be figuring out monetary things for rewilding, but that would be their ideas so that they can get richer, because that's the system we're in right now. And so I was just thinking, well, I'm sure you've got a way to prevent that, and it has to do with our spirituality and enough of us wanting a change. And I can actually see it on social media, the young people coming up and a lot of other people that are just so sick of capitalism
right.
and all of this. But whether we ever can, because it's like taking power without taking power, because it's like
Yeah.
hopefully we can do that. And I'm sure you've thought it all out. I'm thinking these things for the first time, but yeah, so maybe your guidebook will help us with that. You can
Yeah.
let me know.
It's not possible to create a vegan capitalism.
Ah.
There's no such thing, right? Because veganism is a stance of non-exploitation.
Okay. Okay.
So non-exploitation of animals for any purpose whatsoever. Okay, that's
Mhm.
what veganism stands for.
Right.
But you and I are also animals. So we are all animals.
Yeah.
So
You can't exploit us then.
you can't
Ah, I
exploit us.
see.
So
Yeah.
capitalism falls apart right away, right?
Okay.
If you do
Okay.
that. And so this is why they are fighting it tooth and nail,
Okay.
fighting
Mm.
veganism tooth and nail, right? Yeah,
Right. Yeah. Yeah. That makes sense.
right. And you
Okay.
notice that, as the craziness about, you know, borders and immigration, all this craziness that's happening in America about borders, immigration, simultaneously there's craziness about the diet pyramid,
Mm.
the inverted
Mhm.
diet pyramid, and craziness about whole milk in schools. And
Yes.
you
Oh,
see, they're all connected.
yeah. They
They're all
are. They
connected.
are.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
In fact, by pushing whole milk, they've admitted that milk, dairy is the key, is the
Mm-hmm.
foundation. Okay. So they
Okay.
are trying to push whole milk into schools now.
Hmm.
So
Interesting.
so they've
Okay.
confirmed my analysis. I said, thank you
Yeah.
very much. Now I know.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
So
Okay.
so we are on the right path. We are
Okay,
pushing.
good.
So onward to the breach, I say, like Henry V in Shakespeare.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, thanks.
I was just going to say that the handbook or the guidebook seems to address a lot of questions. So it would be wonderful if.
You're muted.
Oh, sorry. So I was just going to say that the guidebook which you're going to release soon seems to answer a lot of questions. So it would be wonderful if you do a similar series of podcasts based on that guidebook. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
We will definitely look into that. Yeah, thank you.
Yep. Thanks.
Danny?
This is from Michael. Regarding participatory governance and radical inclusion, given the reality that in pretty much any society or community, there are presently at least a few or many persons who have a moderately to extremely corrupt nature, how can this kind of inclusion be implemented without chaos and fallout resulting?
Oh, yeah. So what people have done, and it has worked wonders so far, are what is known as citizens' assemblies. And citizens' assemblies are basically for any given problem that you want to find a decision for, right? That you take a random sampling of citizens and invite them to come to these assemblies, and then the experts come and teach them exactly what this problem is about. I mean, so that they can go and then tell them how to go and find more information about it. Nowadays, of course, with AI, everybody is an expert at everything, right? And then they deliberate and they come up with a decision that everybody adopts. So it's a random selection of citizens, and it seems to work very well. In fact, Ireland addressed the abortion question that way, and so the citizen assemblies did the um, analysis, and then they recommended a referendum, and these questions on the referendum, and I think Ireland passed it by a supermajority, and so now it's the first Catholic majority country to have abortion or something like that. Anyway, so this is how participatory governance works. It's not your representative who is going to, who knows everything about you, who's going to do everything for you. It's not a professional representative. It's each one of us participate in the process. So that's what I would recommend. Joji?
Yeah, so I have two questions. The first one, I don't know if it's fair to ask you, but it's in the book, so I got to ask. It's the McDougall's favorite one-liners. Number
Mm.
8 says taking vitamin supplements will increase cancer, heart disease, and death. So does that apply to B12 as well? Do you know if it's
I think he wrote that when uh, in the 70s. No, I don't know when he wrote that. I
oh,
don't know if it
okay.
applies to B12. I
Yeah,
don't know
yeah,
if it
okay.
applies.
Okay. Yeah.
It's a general
Uh,
statement he makes.
okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the second one is about today's, I mean, the main topic, the civilizational transformation. I was wondering if all these changes, including today's and yesterday's, the courts for the earth, and I
Mm.
think it was Michael who asked that question yesterday. So I kind of want to follow up on it. Whether these ideas are being beta tested anywhere, right? Because
Mm.
doing it globally could be a huge challenge, and also to
Right,
debug the system, right? To
right,
beta
right, right,
test in
right.
a small community. And I think you said Southern Forest is doing almost all of it except the governance part because Aviram is a dictator or something like that. So I was wondering if there are other communities that are helping with beta testing.
Yeah, there are communities in Mexico I know of who are working on this, and in Costa Rica. Uh, I mean, various aspects of this are already being kind of worked out. But I think we need to have a minimum viable experiment in a much more visible place that everybody gets on board and tries out. Right? That's what I'm proposing we do. Like 10 cities or 20 cities around the world who choose to um, implement Planet B protocols
Mm,
and to test it out. Okay. And so this way, people can watch all 20 experiments that are going on. And the rest of the people are basically supporting it. They're giving them the resources they need to implement the Planet B protocols.
mm,
That's how I would do it. That's how I would recommend, that we do.
mm.
Um, and then we figure out, a process for doing bug fixes. Something
Yeah.
doesn't work, you say, okay, how do you fix that? So it's because it's a conscious implementation, right?
Mm.
It's not that we have to just go along with whatever is said.
Right, right. Yeah. And maybe the beta testing that's currently happening, sort of not so visibly, could be a motivation and inspiration for people to actually try it, right? The
Right,
cities to try it.
right, right. Yeah, I'm hoping Canada, some cities would join in. Canada, India. We really need to, like, maybe the city in India that's gone vegetarian could try the Planet B protocols, go
Right,
all the
right.
way. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. And
yeah,
some European countries may be open to it too. Yeah.
correct, correct. Yeah.
And as
So
usual, America and the Vatican would probably sit out.
they'll try to sit out, but there is America to me, Americans to me are pioneers. They're go-getters. Eventually, ultimately, America will lead. Okay, so it's not that right now
Mm,
it's being held back,
mm, yeah.
and then this attempt to purge America of this and that and try to make it a pure nation or whatever is failing.
Mm,
Eh? It's
mm,
failing.
mm,
Failing. Why? Because of the people. So I'm proud of the people of
mm.
America. I really love the people of America.
Okay. Thank you.
BJ.
Okay. Yeah, that was really interesting right there, that whole part. But I just wanted to say something about Dr. McDougall and vitamins. I think part of it was people taking multis, and a lot of these have animal ingredients and things like fish oil that they're finding it wasn't doing any good, and all of that, because he does recommend, for instance, to lower cholesterol if you're having a hard time. He'll recommend dry vitamin E, but it's dry, like, and so it's not with oils, and also vitamin C. And it's something like that, when when he'll just shoot off, don't be taking those vitamins. It's probably certain specific ones, or too much copper, or too much iron, or that kind of thing.
Right, right, right. Yeah,
Yeah.
I know. Yeah, he was very direct. He just
Oh
said,
yeah.
said what was in his mind.
He was from Detroit, just like me.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Rebecca?
Hello. I know we're supposed to be ending very soon, but I can stay a little bit longer if you can.
Sure.
Okay. I think while we're talking about uh, what you brought up about the connection between borders and animal ag, I think I get a feel for what the connection is. There's animal ag, there is exploitation in humans, there's exploitation in animals. But I think if that was outlined real clearly, where you could draw a little line, you know, this happens, because I'm thinking about how to explain that to people. I went today, anyway.
Yeah. So the way I see it is, okay, animal agriculture is basically monoculturizing the planet. It's what is animal? It's saying, I don't care about biodiversity, take all their land and replace them with cows because we're making money of that land, right? So it's a monoculturization of the planet. So you don't value diversity, okay? You only value what you think is the best at making money, at your objective, whatever it is. So it's like A is superior to B, and therefore B can disappear because A is going to take over the whole world. Okay. Does that sound familiar to you?
Something about that sounds familiar.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the mindset. It's the mindset of saying, it's yeah, we can purge all these people, because they're inferior, I mean, get rid of them.
And we can
Yeah.
take over.
Yeah, we can take over. So it's really about, when you say, no, I value diversity in not only among human beings, and I value diversity in life. So you see the connection directly.
See the connection there. I do think that in regenerative ag, they are saying, okay, so we're going to have more kinds of plants instead of just a few. But really, they're still wiping out. How many would they save? They
Animals.
don't even know. Right.
Yeah, wiping out the animals and also using more land to grow their favorite animals. And therefore, they're actually impacting the diversity of wild animals even more.
Okay. Yeah, so there's definitely a connection. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Sure. Okay. Danny?
I think this will be our last question. That was just a follow-up by Michael about the communities in Mexico and Costa Rica. Have they been communicating or showing updates or have any reports back that you know of? Thank you.
Yeah, they don't. I don't know. See, these kinds of communities, there's difficult to get documentation because they're busy solving their problems as opposed to documenting it. And so there's one. It's called Arena Tulum. I'm a member of their WhatsApp group, so I get all their updates.
Is that Arena, ARENA?
Mm-hmm.
And Tulum, TULUM?
Correct, yeah.
Thank you.
It's in Mexico. So I kind of know that, I mean, I know of what they're working on based on that. I haven't been there.
Okay.
So thank you all. See you tomorrow again.
Thank you very much. Have a great day.
Have a good day. Bye.
The house is burning, but we're still sitting in the glow. Phones charged, lights on, pretending we don't know. But the forest is silent, the river's running low, and the flame on our plates is the strongest fire we throw. Put out the fire, put out the fire. Echoes and rise, this is your hour. 7 boundaries broken, the earth pushed past the line. Climate, land, species, fresh water, chemicals, nutrients, oceans in decline. Not danger, disaster in real time. Put out the fire, ooh, put out the fire. Metafoodians rise, this is your power. And here in India, one truth stands the same. Milk is not just milk, dairy feeds the flame. Cows and methane, fields and forests turn to grain. Politics, culture, carbon, all wired to the same chain. Every cup of curd is heat in the air, every block of butter is a forest repair. It's not a small habit, it's a planetary affair. Put out the fire, put out the fire. Echoes and rise, this is our hour. Energy fixes half the hurt, Dr. Rao made that clear. But food fixes the other half, the half that's burning here. Change the plate, change the land, change the future's atmosphere. Put out the fire, put out the fire. Metafoodians unite, this is your choir. Every millet, every fruit, every sapseed, every bean is water on the wildfire of a world we've never seen. Every oil-free bite is a river turning clean. This is not perfection, it's direction. Not pressure, but protection. A week of choices can cool a generation. A company's courage can ignite a nation. Put out the fire, ooh, put out the fire. Echoes and rise, this is your hour. Metafoodians unite, Metafoodians ignite, sharing love in the meta zone, light in the path to a cooler